We'd now like to welcome on Kurt Busch, driver of the number 41 Monster Energy Haas Automation Ford for Stewart-Haas Racing. Kurt, how are you doing today?
I'm doing good. Thanks for having me on.
It's our pleasure, and I'd like to start off with how you began your season, and that was with a Daytona 500 victory. It was your first one. You came close in 2008, finishing in second place to Ryan Newman, but you finished off the deal this season to kick it off with a bang, and it was a great race as well. What stands out to you most about that monumental night?
Thank you. It's been an incredible win and a feeling that it's undescribable because it still continues to, it's like it bears fruit everywhere we go. There's different gifts, there's different recognition, and just the power and prestige of winning Daytona, it's something special. And what stands out to me the most that night was the game plan that I had mentally going in. I watched all of the preliminary races like the Xfinity Series, the Truck Series, and digested that all of our cars and series had less downforce and everybody was slip sliding around, wrecking. And I'm like, you know, our race is going to be pretty big for the carnage, and it's going to be about survival. And so I just took the tortoise approach. I said, you know what, everybody go on ahead. I'll catch up later at the end when it counts.
And something else that stood out to me was your crew chief, Tony Gibson's reaction on the pit box. I mean, that was something to see. He's a Daytona Beach native, and it was his first 500 victory as well. How did it make you feel to finally give the old man that elusive win in the Great American Race?
It meant the world to me to be able to give that win to him, but also to watch him and his reaction and just the pure joy and how he poured his whole life into going to Daytona and working his way up with all the different teams, and to now be a crew chief, the lead guy directing a car to victory lane. I think, you know, with him leaning back in the chair and his celebration, it became a meme afterwards, and everybody was just so congratulatory towards him. And I just had that small, like, little feather in my cap going, yep, I helped Tony Gibson win that race. So it was really a big feeling for our team and really drew the 41 group together stronger.
The way you talk about Daytona, it's almost like it takes so much out of you and your team, and it took a little bit for you guys to start running consistently again. But it seems like you guys are back to where you want to be as we hit the halfway point of the 2017 season. How's the season gone so far, in your opinion?
For me, I had all these positive feelings about Daytona and switching over with Doug Yates, who builds really good restrictor plate engines. And just a feeling that going back to Ford, it was a homecoming for me. And so once we got through Daytona and all of the, you know, the success and the accolades that come with it and the boom, like this huge moment, you got to settle into the season. And it seemed like we struggled with what's tough for the normal fans is, man, we had to switch all of our oiling systems over, all of our electronic systems were different. And then once we got some of those bugs worked out and got settled in, during the haze of winning Daytona 500, the aerodynamic side of it was very different as well. Like, we're getting different cars out of the wind tunnel, and we're like, whoa, all these things have a different balance than where we were before. So it took us a little bit to get our feet under us, to get the Daytona win behind us. The new things worked out, and I think by the Monster Energy All-Star race, we were lead laps, we were competitive, we finished fourth, and then backed it up with a great run at the 600. I mean, it takes that long to really digest and get everything together and to be competitive at this top level.
And the manufacturer swap from Chevrolet to Ford for SHR has been well documented. But for the casual fan, they might not know how much goes into a manufacturer switch. So from your perspective behind the driver's seat, how has the transition gone with the folks over at Ford Performance?
It feels good because of all of the hard work that we've put into it and all the things we've learned. And it wasn't just a breeze to switch over and to have success at every style of track. We're very satisfied with the amount of work, the lessons we've been through, and the things we've had to apply, all the meanwhile just making sure that we're going to be ready for the playoffs. And it's a good battle. You know, every week there's a chance to win, but there's also a chance to learn and a chance to grow.
Another adjustment to this season for you has been the advent of stage racing. So from your perspective, have the stages impacted how you race and how Tony Gibson and yourself plan week to week from the race shop?
It has. We're definitely racing the game to gain points when we can. And it's been tough to get those stage wins It seems like Truex or Larson have swallowed them all up. I mean, a 7-time champion, Jimmy Johnson, has only won one stage this year. So for us, there's still more points in winning the race and more bonus points to carry through the playoffs within a race win. So those are the most important moments for the race weekend, is try to get in the car into victory lane. It's big for the sponsors. Monster loves it, Haas, Ford, everybody loves it. The team feels good about it, and you get bonus points that go with you through the playoffs. So that's our goal each and every week.
Yeah, you mentioned Truex there. It seems like he's almost clinched a spot in Homestead, Miami already with the 28 playoff points he's racked up to date. Do you anticipate any possible changes to the point structure for next season now that we see Truex putting a whopping on the field?
Yeah, I knew he would have a good bit of points that are going to be tough for the competition to overcome. And so I look at it as one spot basically to Homestead is already taken. Now, if he gets wiped out, it's a whole new chase. I mean, if he breaks 3 races in a row and can't get enough points to advance, it's a wide open landscape after that. So things can happen, but if they just stay status quo, they're going to be tough to beat. I think they'll get a ticket to Homestead, and that only leaves 3 other slots.
You're heading to a place this weekend where you've put up some really solid numbers in New Hampshire Motor Speedway. 13 top 10s, 8 top 5s, and 3 wins. And you swept the races at the Magic Mile in your title campaign back in 2004. So how do you feel about your chances this weekend in Loudon to hoist the hardware?
I feel good about it. I'm hoping all the fans come on out for the great weather that's been forecasted for Sunday. It should be a good show with the stages. The way that racing's changed since I swept those races a few years back is the fact that those were really long run sections. And now, we're not seeing much but 60 laps at a time, and usually a yellow comes out. You got to be ready for restarts, and you got to be ready for short run speed. That's how New Hampshire Motor Speedway has changed over the last few years.
The track announced that they'd be putting down some PJ1 on the surface, which is just another form of the sticky substance that's been used a fair amount this season to try and make the racing better. Bristol used it, Charlotte used it, a similar compound in VHT, and Kentucky last weekend used the Tire Dragon. So how do you feel about using the different methods on track to try and enhance the on-track product?
The Tire Dragon gives the drivers more comfort in looking at the track, knowing that you don't have a dirty groove and a clean groove. They're trying to clean as much of the track and give us as much of an option as possible. Now, the VHT, that just puts it, or the VH1, that grip, that sticky substance, that just puts it in one. It may as well just be Monster. I mean, let's just pour that out on the track. It only makes it this wide, and so it's very unpredictable, and you don't know if you're going to hit it right or not hit it right. I'm not a fan of the sticky stuff. I would just rather see us have a better tire that is softer and wears out quicker if the driver pushes the car too hard. So I'm not a big fan of that, but the Tire Dragon's fine. I mean, we're just trying to find more combinations to create passing and more excitement for our fans to be rooting for their favorite drivers making moves out on the track.
And when I think of tires, I think of the different compounds. And this weekend at Eldora, the trucks will be taken to the dirt. And of course, your owner, Tony Stewart, owns that track in Rossburg, Ohio. What is it like racing for him?
It's a lot of fun racing for him. We all know him as the fiery, tough racer, Tony Stewart. But he's definitely a very cool and patient and calculated owner that really wants to see the best for all of his teams. I mean, the same thing with Gene Haas. He wants to race, in Formula One. He's got his NASCAR team, and he wants the best for everybody to give himself more chances to win. And that's what it's all about, is collecting the trophies, racing hard, and racing smart.
Eldora is a great track, and there have been some rumblings about another possible dirt race in the truck playoffs. I personally like seeing some Cup guys slinging dirt. Any chance that we could see that out of you sometime in the future?
It's definitely a cool, eclectic feel, and Eldora is the perfect type of track with the seating capacity and the facility that Tony Stewart has assembled there, and I think it puts on a great show each and every year, and so it'd be tough to duplicate that. Where would we go for a different dirt track? But I'm game for anything, any track, anytime, any place.
Silly season is heating up, Kurt, and you've stated before that there's a team option for you to stay at SHR next season. Are you comfortable saying that you'll be behind the wheel of the 41 next season for SHR?
Yeah, it's the team option, and I'm pretty comfortable with where I stand within the team on the sponsorship that I've brought in from Monster Energy, my relationship with Gene Haas, and then my relationship with Ford. It's great to be back with them. I really enjoy racing for them. They're a good group of racers, and I mean, we won Daytona, and everything's in place, so why not just keep things as they are?
And before I let you go, Kurt, I gotta ask about your Cubs. They're not doing too hot right now, but it is the All-Star break, so they're getting a nice rest. Do you think that they are going to be able to turn it around to make the postseason?
If I can predict as a NASCAR driver what the Chicago Cubs can do or get done, I'm doing it as a fan. I don't have any facts. I did get to meet Joe Madden, hang out with the team during spring training, and if I'm looking at it, I'm looking at they're just hanging out the NL Central, just trying to get the NL Central W and get into the playoffs and go from there. They definitely won't have the best record. I think the Dodgers are going to be tough to beat on the west side.
Well, hopefully for your sake, Kurt, we can see the Cubs in the World Series and you in victory lane this weekend in New Hampshire. Thank you so much for taking the time, Kurt. Really appreciate it.
Thank you. Really appreciate having me on.